2023 is here, the year of the launch of Major League Cricket, and joining me today is 2022 Minor League Cricket champion, Shadley Van Schalkwyk. Shadley, welcome to the show.
Nate, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. I've always wanted to have the show, so it's good to finally be on it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have you on, so this is a great excuse. You just won the Nepal T20 Championship, yourself and Harmeet from Seattle. That's two in just a few months. How does it feel to be on a winning streak like this?
Good question. I don't think it's lovely. It's a great feeling. You don't often win finals, I guess, or get to win a lot of competitions. I've played for a lot of years now, and I think I've only won, sort of say, 4 major trophies, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a long time of cricket, a lot of hard work to reap some rewards. I won't lie, I'm enjoying the ride a little.
Yeah, and you know, both of these had pretty good fan attendance. The minor league here in Morrisville, North Carolina, and obviously Nepal fans are absolutely crazy about cricket. What was it like? What were the fans like in Nepal?
Busy, friendly, accommodating. A lot of questions, to put it that way. They were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The way they knowledgeable crowd also. So it wasn't just like fans that were coming to watch for the sake of watching. They genuinely loved cricket, and very friendly, very friendly. It's not like sometimes the South African crowd you get back home where it's quite a bit of abuse on the boundary. It was nothing like that. So it was pleasant, very pleasant. But they were brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. I had Nepali Indian food last night. There's a place not far from me. And I like to talk cricket when I go there to pick up my food. But yeah, when you meet someone from Nepal, you know that they're probably going to be a cricket fan. You know, and it's interesting. You know, I think having a lit field there in Nepal would go a long way to getting even more fans to the games, because people in Nepal work really, really hard. They work long hours.
They do.
You know, they work like 6 days a week. So I think something like that, you know, if that board, if they can keep building more venues and more, you know, venues with lights, I think they can even get better fan showings.
I definitely think so. I think it's the last final game that we played was great crowd attendance, but I think Eternel and they just get sort of lights there. It will be brilliant. A lot of fans will come. I know that for sure.
Yeah. I have a few Nepali friends here in North Carolina. Yeah, they're very, very friendly people, very enthusiastic about the game of cricket, and they are incredibly loyal to their team. That's for certain, to their national team. What was the number one question you got from the fans out there?
Where am I from? Probably that's the one that stands out. And do I bowl fast or do I bowl spin? That was the second one. But mostly where you're from. Probably could say 300 times a game. They'd ask me where I'm from. And I said South Africa. They're like, oh yeah, ABD. So that was nice. But that was probably the most common question. Is.
Well, what did they say when you said you live in Seattle now?
What is the words they use? Oh yes, USA, and then they'd ask a lot about how cricket is. To be fair, so I'd actually probably shouldn't say this, but drift from the game a little bit and then sort of have conversations on, it's going great. There's a lot of cricket in USA and a lot of teams, and there's minor league and major league coming, and they loved it. They hung on to every word that I was speaking about. Cricket was quite nice, but that was probably asking the most, like, how is the cricket in Seattle and USA? That became a big conversation on the boundaries.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's great. You know, it's nice to see people from outside who are excited about what's going on here in the USA, and it's nice when you tell them about it. You know, they get interested. I can't wait for Major League Cricket. Hopefully, it's a big international splash, and we can reach new markets and get people like Nepal paying attention. And one of the ways to do that, obviously, would be to get Nepali cricketers in Major League and minor league. You know, there are some very good cricketers out there. One of which was on your team, Dipendra Singh Ari, who was very popular Nepali cricketer. What was it like playing with him?
Very good, very good. Open communication. He was very smooth. Obviously, I think we had 6 pros, only 4 could play, but he kept a very open door policy. He led the team quite well. He was still young in his job, I think, but he would take on a lot of advice. But at the same time, I liked it that he'd make his own decision. And that's what you want of a captain, to sort of listen if there's any advice and then sort of go with his gut feeling. And I think he was brilliant in that. The fact that he had a good support staff also on and off the field, I think that helped him. But he was brilliant. I think he maybe didn't score as many runs. I think he got 150, but he looked absolutely brilliant. He looked class. So that was good to see. Classy batter, quick between the wickets, absolute gun fielder. So really good cricketer and a good leader also.
Now, did you guys get to spend any time in Lumbini itself, the namesake for the team?
We didn't, unfortunately. So we were based in Kathmandu. I think they wanted to. I think it was originally planned for September, the tournament, and there was a trip planned that time, but it sort of got delayed, and then the game time got shorter and the rest days got shorter. So I don't think they'd have gone or could have they'd found time to really go out of their way to find time to go to Lumbini. Unfortunately, I think it was in the plans originally, but just the schedule was so back to back that they couldn't. Just the little rest days, and I think when the rest days came, the guys took their rest seriously, as they do.
Yeah, I can imagine why. I mean, you guys did win a championship, so you did everything the right way. It seems like you approached the season the right way. Lumbini, yeah, and maybe next time you can go visit there. I believe that's the birthplace of Buddha, isn't it?
That's correct. That's the nice thing also about being in Nepal. It's a cultural trip, which I learned so much about the people, the cultures, the religions and everything. So that was great. And I mean, everyone was open to me asking questions, because I tend to ask a lot of questions when I don't know. They were great in explaining, which was lovely.
Great. Were there any young Nepali players that really caught your eye on the trip?
A few. There was for me and our side specifically, a guy, Tilak, a young leg spinner coming through. Difficult to pick his googly. Bowls at a good pace and spins the ball quite a bit. So very good in that regard. And then a young all-rounder, pace bowling all-rounder, Gulshan. Those are the younger guys that sort of caught my eyes, but everyone was a good cricketer. I think those two stood out to me probably the most. Yes, Gulshan being a guy that hits the ball a mile and bowls with good pace. So I think a bright future ahead of him. Also, our opening bowler, Kishore, he was brilliant. I think what he's shown in how he bowled in the situations regard, I think, if I'm honest, a lot of the overseas pros struggled, I guess, maybe the seamers. I think we had to look at the seamers. He was probably the best one, in my opinion, at least at the tournament. He bowled unbelievably well, really well.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the questions that you wonder about going into Nepal, going into a T20 league, basically in Nepal, is the wicket. How's the wicket going to hold up? Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of international cricket out there in Nepal. USA famously put up that horrible innings a few years back, record-breaking worst innings in white ball cricket at the time, or in 50 overs cricket, anyways. But I thought it did pretty well. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting 180, 190 every game. But the 150 kind of area, that type of range, it stayed right around there for the most part. Towards the end, it got a little lower scoring, but I thought it held up pretty well. What were your thoughts there?
I think it was brilliant, if I'm honest. I think the conditions actually played better than what they maybe looked like. Mm-hmm. I say that because it did spin, but I think everyone expected that. But it carried for the seamers, so no one complained. I think what said around the range, the 150 score, 140 was sort of par, maybe sometimes above par. Mm-hmm. But played a lot better and held up very well. We thought it would get lower and slower as the tournament went on. But it actually stayed consistent. So credit to them for doing a good job. Credit to them, yes.
Yeah, great. That's great. I noticed in the final, I think you only bowled the 20th over. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
In the final, and obviously, you guys were defending kind of well. I mean, it turned out to be a pretty good total, but just by looking at just the score, it might have been anybody's game. But obviously, the spinners did quite well in that one.
Yeah, they did. They did. To credit to them, I think if we're honest with ourselves, we're probably about 15, 20 runs short. We didn't bat as well as we could. We got bowled out, to be fair. After a great start from Leader and Armit, I think we got 50 odd or something off the power play, close to 60,
Mhm.
which is more than what you can ask for really in those conditions. Not that it
Sure.
was terrible conditions. So we thought maybe we could put up a score of around 170, but I think we fell short by quite a bit. Maybe in hindsight, looking probably 20 runs short
Right.
from the start we got given. But they also bowled well, and then coming into it was, what can I say? Just we bowled well. The guys were hungry, and bowling one over did spin. It was sort of the plan going forward. We had really good spinners, guys that actually spun the ball both ways, left arm orthodox, leg spinners and off spinners. So we could tactically go accordingly towards batting. We also had a great analyst in Arun from Chennai. He was brilliant. He gave us all the information about every batter, what's the best ways to get them out, dot balls, where they score. And the captain took that on quite well. So his changes according to maybe he was batting, where they should take the ball away, spin it back, their strike rates, all of that came into play. So holistically, a great job from management and sort of coaches, everyone on the field.
That's good. So yeah, there you go. 2 championships in a short period of time. It looks like the management of both teams, the Seattle team, Lumbini All Stars, really did a great job this year. I know at least in minor league cricket, the league is so big. Everything has to go right for you to win the championship. You've got to do everything right on the field, off the field. It really, you can't afford to have something really lacking. And it looks like you got a lot of that going in Lumbini as well.
Yes, definitely. I must give credit to the guys that started Lumbini. They were brilliant. I think there was some off-field stuff that got to players. I guess some players, not our players necessarily. We had our own hotel, and we were quite excluded from a lot of the problems, which was nice. I think they managed the things off the field extremely well and on the field extremely well. There wasn't a time where I would say a player needed anything. It was very professional. So if you played the game, you'd come back and then the masseuse would be there and be ready for sort of the massage, get your body ready for the next game. Enough waters in the room, enough privacy if you want. There was a team room. So everything you wanted to have as a player, you had off the field and on the field, which was brilliant. And I thought that just helped players to do a lot better and become comfortable in what they're doing and not have to worry about outside things or what's happening in the team environment. It was just brilliantly run.
Well, that's excellent. And they did a good job managing the overseas players. Of course, this was the team I followed because of all the minor league players. There were 4 on the team. Yourself, Harmeet, Lahiru, Unmukt Chan, Lahiru from here at the Morrisville Raptors. Lahiru played nearly every game, it seemed like. And he was, he started the tournament really, really well. He finished strong too. Watching him and Harmeet open a few times, several times, was really a treat. 2 left-handed batters. And in associate cricket, a lot is made about left arm spinners or left arm bowlers in general being pretty dominant in associate cricket. And a lot of that is because, you don't have those incredibly pristine, flat tracks that are made for 200 runs, and you're going to have an awful lot of right-handed batters. So, a great way to counter that is to have a lot of left-handed batters. And it looks like your team certainly did have its share of left-handed batters. So tactically, that's a great way to kind of counteract what typically works in like an associate venue. Which we've seen here in the USA as well. Plenty of, if you follow minor league cricket, it's very similar. left arm bowlers dominate. They get a lot of results. And so you're going to need a lot of left-handed batters to counteract that. And your team certainly had that going in spades.
We did. And I say this, I think our managers and owners are from Nepal, and I think two of them, one of them played for Nepal. And sort of still close to the system that side, I guess. And his words was that they have a lot of left-hand spinners, but they don't bolt a lot of left-hands, whether it be nets, whether it be local games, whether it be anything like that. So we actually had, I think at a time, 6 left-handers in our squad, of which mostly 5 would possibly play. And I think that sort of helped the balance, and credit to them for thinking about that. I think it's things like that goes unseen.
Right.
from a player's point of view to counter what opposition is doing. So credit to them for actually filling in and doing the research, and dividends to it paid. I guess it worked out perfectly because I think Lehiru and Harmit had a great tournament with a bat with it, and they complemented each other so well. I think Lehiru at the stage, if he felt he needed to sort of accelerate, he did. If Harmit was going well, he would just rotate strike. So they complemented each other well at the top of the order.
Yeah. So, this is something that you see in a tournament like this where you're playing a different team every game. You're not playing any series. It's not like a bilateral series or something where you're going to play the same team over and over and over again. You got tactics like that, stacking up left-handed batters against a team are gonna work out in your favor quite a bit. Maybe in a 3-game series, that might be enough to win you the first game, and then you're going to have adaptations in the other team's lineup. But yeah, in these franchise leagues, when you have one team, then the next team, then the next team, you can take advantage of those tactics.
You can definitely. I think how we were set up was brilliant. Our analysts stood. If you needed any information before the game, you could literally send them a message. For example, I'd send a message about the bowling, who's their batters, what do they do, and you'd send me literally video clips of the top 6, which nowadays in cricket it's just sort of on display for everyone to see if you need it, and getting back to you and seeing, okay, no, and you'd send you a message saying this strike rates against seam, you come around the wicket, maybe look to do this, and it'd show you videos. So I think it helped us, especially going game, next team, playing a different team every time. So you don't have as much time to plan, but
Right.
we were fortunate that we did have time to plan according to every team.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see Major League evolve into series instead of just multiple games. I like to think about weird things like that. But but yeah, so and then let's talk now about minor league. You guys in Seattle, you got a lot of good things going up there, a lot of development in the game, venues coming around potentially. For Major League, you're going to have a Major League team up in Seattle. So that's a hotbed right now. You guys won the championship. You had Fani Simhadri, who had an incredible season this year. Obviously Harmeet, you had a lot of great players on that team. What was that season like? Because it went right down to the wire for you guys. You needed to not only win the last couple of games of the season just to make the playoffs, you had to hammer the other team to do it.
It's true. I think, if I'm dead honest, we were quietly confident that we'd at least make the playoff weekend. In saying that, we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We had, I think it was the Blazers the very first weekend. It's a tough competition to start with,
right?
Because they were a great side. We started 1-1, which we were happy about, sort of just feeling our way into the tournament. We'd love to go 2-0, but we were happy with that regard. I think that the guys worked really hard. I think we maybe see the end product, but before that, everyone was practicing, getting together for about 3 months before, if I'm not mistaken. And I say this lightly. There was days we practiced till 1, 2 a.m. because our indoor facility would be taken up till 9, and we'd start 9:30, and then end up training from probably 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., which I don't think everyone saw, but they saw the results, and guys were probably frustrated at times. And I mean, I don't think there's a lot of cricketers, probably no cricketers that want to be training at 1 a.m., but we knew that's what we needed and that's what we had. And I think all of that built up for the squad we had. We did some good recruitment, I guess. Guys clicked at the right time also. And going into sort of the last, say, 2 weekends, we knew we had to win.
Right.
Whether we won or lost, or whether we won with 1 run or 1 ball extra, we knew we weren't going to go through. So it was all or nothing. So if we lost, we'd say, let's go doing it our way. And if we lose, we lose. If we're not meant to go through, we're not meant to go through. But let's give ourselves the best chance. I think going into the week before the playoffs, or the 2 weeks before the playoffs, we sat down and we sort of won the toss, and we knew we had a massive margin to go to win by, and the whole team was divided. Should we bat? Should we bowl? And it was probably a tough decision, but we went on to bowl first, which worked out quite well. I knew we had to chase it in a ridiculous amount of overs, but guys just knew, like, we just keep going. We lost a wicket and make sure just keep going. We'll go till number 11 gets bowled out, even if it's in the 7th over, it's fine. If we don't get it in a certain amount of overs, we're going to lose anyway. So that led up, and I think we had the tougher games towards the end, which helped us go into the playoff weekend, which was great. And I think Morrisville put up a great show for cricket, which was nice.
Well, your team bowled incredibly well. It was, a lot of teams in T20 cricket will use seven bowlers in a game. You guys hardly ever used more than 5 bowlers in a game. Everybody was pretty much dominant this season bowling wise. So I mean, electing to bowl first in situations where you had to restrict the team and then score quickly. With the batting that you have, obviously pinching Harmeet up the order, that's a great plan. I think it suited your team real well.
It did. I think we always chat about it. It's nice to have a lot of bowling options, but it doesn't give a bowler and a player enough responsibility. So we go, if we use the 5, we had more than 5 bowlers that were capable of bowling. I think Rohan didn't bowl as much as he probably wanted.
Sure.
Which is unfortunate. I think there's a game out, and everyone travels. There's a game that we used 5 bowlers in one game. I bowled 3 overs for 60, I think it was. Which I sort of still think about the neck pains I get now trying to look where the ball's going. But with that regard, we still used 5 bowlers in that game, and I think it gave guys responsibility to say, look, it's your job to do it for the team. And if you don't, we're still going to back you, which was nice. And a lot of times it doesn't go bowlers way in T20 cricket, and we don't mind that.
Right.
You can't say you don't mind. You mind it, but it gives guys responsibility. If you have seven overs, sometimes a bowler, not that they do, but sometimes bowlers, okay, if I don't go well, they can bowl that person. Okay, no, he can bowl. And we had guys that sort of quite a bit of spinners, enough seamers. We had a leg spinner that didn't bowl as much as you probably wanted to. We had left arm orthodox. So we ticked every box. It was just what worked on the day, and just trusting that the working plan on the day.
Yeah. And I don't think you can overstate just how difficult your division is. The West Division, you can't, you have to win games. And when you have the chance to win a game early or to chase a target early, you got to do it, because you don't know how the standings are going to stack up at the end of the season. And you need that net run rate all the time in that division. It doesn't always just come down to your record. It comes down to net run rate oftentimes. Well, it's just a tight division. So you're going to go with what works on the day. Like you said, you have to stick with what works on the day. It's tough to take chances. You do have a good youngster there, Rohan Pasanapalli, who, great attitude. I saw him with you guys. He seems to be eager to learn. And I'm sure he wanted to bowl more, but he contributed to the team too. Obviously made that massive catch against Janisar Khan down in Texas, down in Houston, to win the game for you on the final ball, I believe. Or did that send it to the super overs, or
that's it to the super overs? I still think that's the catch that changed the momentum of our tournament. I think if that goes down, we lose that game, the momentum changes, the momentum shifts. But for him to take a diving catch down that side, it's brilliant. And that sort of gave a lot of, probably the senior players a little bit of guys, we win with a chance here. So I still believe personally that was the game changing or the momentum shifting that we needed for the rest of the tournament. Yes, we still had a lot of games in hand and we could have won in the future, but I think that catch itself probably changed our momentum or our track that we were going towards.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite plays of the whole season. He didn't bowl a ball that game. He's playing slip. Janisar Khan, former USA star, he was hot. He was going to win the game right there. It was. I think if you had asked anybody to bet on that moment, you would have bet he won the game. And he's a very good player. And I won't forget that, because I was watching it and he just showed up popped into the screen and caught that ball at the extent of his dive. It was absolutely fabulous to watch. But yeah, I think that was great, a great boost for your team, a good boost of morale for him. You know, when you know that you're, you know, you made the USA U19 team, you look around the league, there's 26 teams full of U19 players who are probably getting most of them more chances than him. So you're gonna want to make a splash somewhere. You're gonna want to make your mark somewhere in the game that you can. So I think that boosted a young player like him, that you know, he knows that now he's made a big play when, you know, when the single chance came to him, when the single moment to change the season for his team happened, he did it. And I think that type of knowledge going forward, it's got to give you a lot of confidence.
I'm sure it must. And I don't think you're giving enough credit. Like, we see the small things that happen on the field, but sometimes you don't see how he trains and the questions he asks, which is always sign of a good and sometimes a great player that's willing to learn, willing to ask. And I mean, nowadays, let's be honest, though, I say the millennials don't like asking questions. It's not like when we grew up, we were sort of forced to ask questions and do things. Sometimes guys are uncomfortable asking other cricketers to sort of share their knowledge, which I don't think they should be. But Ron was brilliant. He'd ask questions on the field, off the field, at training. Why do you do this? Why do you think you should do this? What should I develop? So he was very keen on learning, as of a lot of cricketers are. But it was refreshing to see you wouldn't have to go to him and say something. You'd actually take the first step and come have a conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, you were pretty humble there a minute ago, saying that you guys knew you were going to make the playoffs, and after that, you know, anything can happen. But I got to say, I talked to Adam Crossway throughout the season. He was not as humble as that. he told me right from the start and all the way through the season that you guys were going to win the whole championship, and just wait and see. And you know, so and you did. So I know that he was stoked. He had a lot of confidence in the team that you guys had, and it seems like there was a good reason for that.
Definitely. I think what he brought with regards to just a calming effect, keeping our emotions intact. Not a lot of players that have played a lot of competitive cricket as their emotions intact, I guess. And as you can see on the field, a lot of guys get emotionally involved and sort of they think very tunnel vision and not laterally.
Right.
But he brought sort of just take a step back, calming effect. I think a lot of the guys, to be fair, would probably say that they were quietly confident that we're going to win it, but we have to get to the playoff stages first.
Right.
And in T20 cricket, if one guy comes off, he can literally win the game single-handedly, as you see through the history of T20. And we were fortunate enough, well, not say fortunate enough, sometimes luck went our way, sometimes it didn't, but we worked hard enough to give ourselves a chance. And that's all you can say in cricket. You can't predict. You can only stick to your process. And luckily, the process that we did worked for us. And at during this season, it was the right process, yes.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why a lot of young players kind of don't have that patience and don't have that calmness and the ability to quiet their emotions is that in this country particularly, I don't know about other countries, but in this country there's a lot of cricket played with the young players, and there's a lot of pressure on them to perform right now. You know, you have the U20, the U19 national team. Everybody wants to get on that team, and so when you're growing up, you know, I don't think there are enough opportunities for the kids to feel like to understand what it is to just build, to take steps. So, you know, it's and when you have older guys telling you, hey, trust us, you know, trust us and adopt a process and adhere to the process, and your failure today isn't going to be the end of the world, you know, because we're investing in these younger players. We're you know, the U19s and U21s hopefully stick around for a while. You're not going to fly a guy like Rohan up there, you know, for the year and not think about him in the future too, you know. So it's I think that's a great thing that minor league cricket brings, is some continuity for these kids, a little bit of security, a little bit of, you know, nurturing environment with the players. Ideally, you know, if it works out the way it's supposed to, that's ideally what it brings to a lot of the young players.
And to be fair, that's what it should be. I think we were very fortunate where we grew up that after under 19 cricket, there was academies, there was club cricket, there was amateur cricket, B-side cricket, provincial cricket, franchise cricket. So there was a lot of cricket after under 19. I think some of the under 19s don't get that as much chances, but minor league gives them that extra bit of chance that there's a part of the season that there's proper competitive cricket against really good players, and they can showcase their skills. I know that they're good enough. They possibly don't get as much cricket as they want, or as they need, maybe not yet at least. But it's part and parcel. It's like I said, it is what it is. It's a situation. You make the best of what you can do with what you have, and they're doing that. I think they still keep fit, the younger guys. They still reach out if they need any things, and it's just to know that it is investment. I think everyone wants to make a national side, a provincial side, a minor league side, major league coming up when they're 19 years old. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, for a lot of cricketers, it does not happen like that. I think in South Africa, when I was still coming through in South Africa, the average age to sort of make a franchise side was between 24 and 27 at that stage, and that was still considered like a young age, but I think a lot of people want overnight success. It unfortunately doesn't happen like that in cricket. I think you can chat to any professional cricketer that's done it. It's hard work, it's day in, day out grind, and if you're fortunate enough, you lucky enough and to be at the right place at the right time, the cards or the things fall your way and stars align, and you're lucky enough to make it. Yes.
Right. Well, and what minor league cricket brings is, otherwise these young guys would be playing in club leagues where obviously the competition's not as high. Maybe 1 or 2 times a year they're going to be challenged by a really good team in a regular club environment in the USA, or if they're in a really good club, an extremely good club, they might not get the chances. That's another thing, and they're not going to learn the nous of the game. They're not going to learn how to be heady cricketers unless they're playing against other heady cricketers, other smart cricketers who know the game, who are savvy. And so that's what minor league cricket brings to them, is they get to now get that boost. And I think it's going to help the overall IQ of cricket in the national product immensely, just as much as it's going to help their skills, which you can train skills. You can go in the nets with a coach and you can learn how to do a perfect cover drive, 1,000 times in a row. But you can't learn the IQ aspect of the game, the game awareness, unless you're playing in these games against good players who have better awareness than you do.
Very true. Very true. I think it goes both ways. I think you are right in saying that they don't play probably against the competition they want for as long as they want. In saying that, it's also the responsibility, and every cricketer's responsibility, not to average 25 if that's the situation, because it's some of the most talented kids I've played with and against throughout my whole cricket career. And for me to say it honestly, if you can't average 20 if you're saying the competition's not as good in club cricket. So it works both ways. If they don't get the rub of the green, if I can put it that way. But sometimes they don't get the chance also. It's also understanding as senior players that these guys need the right opportunity to perform. You also need to throw them in the deep end sometimes to see if they can swim. And if they can't, teach them how. So it's trying to find the right balance, because the right balance also incorporates the older guys who want to win.
Sure.
Guys also want to win. And it's just trying to find the balance with the right opportunity, the right balance, the right chance, throwing them in the deep end. Can they swim? How do we work them the best way? And things, just finding that balance for the younger guys and the older guys. And as soon as that works out quite nicely and the opportunities happen for the younger guys and the senior or older guys can sort of also perform how they want to, it works hand in hand, and sky's the limit.
It's tough to balance those young players with, the need to play the young players with the need for the older players who absolutely need to stay sharp as well. And they need to have that extra competitive atmosphere to keep their game sharp. So that's something that minor league has to balance, and it's done a pretty good job of balancing it, I think. And oftentimes it just shakes out to, the needs of your team ultimately, which is always a good lesson for everyone to have reinforced to them as the team comes first. So that, that's ultimately what it leads to.
That is true. I think some people struggle to see that maybe. And I think rightly so. I think guys have to believe that they can grab the game by, excuse my French, by the balls and say, it's my turn, I can do this, I can do it. But sometimes you don't get the chance to do it. But when the chance comes, just to be prepared. Every chance comes at a different stage in everyone's career.
Right.
And I mean, I think the older guys, believe it or not, still want to also make it. So it's it's difficult to find that balance. The young guns, I call them great players, absolutely great players. It's just trusting the path you're on and the process you're doing, and believing that the outcome will be the right outcome,
right,
if you do the right steps. And I think that's all any player can sort of do.
Like you said, there's a lot of players that are older who still want to make it, who still have a chance to make it, thanks to Major League Cricket. We've got that coming around the corner this coming summer. Man, it's going to be really interesting to see who makes that team. We have 2 years behind us of minor league cricket to kind of show to the owners and their management, their general managers and whatnot, who is worthy of Major League Cricket from minor league cricket. And one of those players that we mentioned earlier that really made a name for himself this year is Fani Simhadri, who this time last year, if we were talking about who's going to make Major League Cricket, we could probably run through 300 names before we get to his. Obviously, there aren't going to be 300 Major League cricketers. There's going to be maybe around 60 or something like that. But Fani Simhadri is firmly in the conversation right now.
100%, and rightly so. I think what he's done, and I laugh about it with something like that. I don't think anyone's going to take more than, what is it? I want to say 46 wickets or 44 wickets.
It's like, something like that. It was ridiculous.
I want to say something ridiculous like that, but I don't think people realize how good that is, or some maybe they do.
Right.
And rightly so for him. He's deserved all the credit, everything, all the recognition he's got. If he hasn't, then he deserves some more. He's had an incredible season, absolutely incredible season, just willing to learn. And the nice thing about Fani is he's a great human being.
Right.
Such a good person in the change room. Will help his team out every single time.
Yeah.
He will give you throwdowns. If you need, he'll bowl the extra ball if you need. So good to have him in the change room, on the field, off the field, a brilliant human being. And what he's done, I don't think anyone's gonna beat that record anytime soon, at least. That's just in my opinion. At least they do credit to them. But to take over 40 wickets in a minor league season, probably less than 20 games, it's unbelievable what he's done. It's really unbelievable what he's done. And I mean, rightly so, he deserved the MVP of the tournament, and he got it. But I think he just genuinely deserved it. What he did for us as a team and for him as a player to put his name in the lights, it's something you want for him, because he's such a great person to have in the change room also.
Well, last year, there were a lot of people who were divided on who should win the MVP of the league, and you could have gone with probably 3 different guys, and I would have been like, that's great. But this year, everybody was like, it's got to be Fani. It had to be. There couldn't have anyone else.
Couldn't have been anyone else.
Couldn't have been anybody else. He took 43 wickets in the 17-game season, but in the finals, he took another 3. So it's ridiculous what he's done this year. 46 wickets, and honestly, this was pointed out to me by Joe out in California, Joe Hickey. He said that Fani took more death wickets than anyone else took wickets. So that's a credit to your team. Also, the fact that you put him in a situation late in the game where everybody's going to try to score in the death, but when you desperately need to score in the death, you're getting out. It's going to happen. There's going to be a lot more wickets, and so he did that. He bowled so much in the death, and his economy was still under 6 for the season, 5.94. Just absolutely amazing stuff, and a lot of that is what we talked about earlier, you got the left-handed bowlers who are dominating, and then you got Fanny who has this incredibly strange, awkward delivery. Well, awkward. It's not awkward. It's strange. It's unusual. He slings it in, and his changeup ball is his quicker ball. It's weird. He bowls very unusually for what people are used to. I like to call him mystery medium, but he's a smart bowler. You talk to him about, people will watch him bowl and they'll say, oh yeah, but on this type of surface, on this other type of surface, he's going to get eaten up. And then but you see in minor league, I don't know if there's a league in the world with more variety of batting surfaces of wickets than there is in minor league cricket. You look all around the country. Our country is massive, and we have turf, we have hybrid, and well, this past season we had Astro, but we're not. We're moving towards hybrid and turf now. But still, hybrid and turf from coast to coast is going to be drastically different. And he dominated everywhere that he went. So I don't really buy the argument that put him on a different wicket and he's not going to be as effective. We all year he was on a different wicket.
Every game. We've played on turf. He's played on concrete. He's played on hybrid. He's done it. He's done it all, and it's skill. It's a skill. What he's done was a great skill, and you can't take it lightly, because as a team you prepare. You know what's coming, but he still managed to do it, and he's one of the great examples of throw him in the deep end, see if he can swim, and he sort of swam for the whole team, I guess, at the death. He bowled unbelievably well when he needed to. And when things got tough, but he was sort of our go-to man, which was nice. It doesn't have to be an overseas pro, put it that way. He was the go-to man. Like, okay, we need something here. Funny as the ball. Come on, you got this. Right. And you come up with the goods every single time, which was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Just great stuff from him. I can't wait to see him in Major League Cricket, because I think he's got it. He's got to be there. He deserves it. He's just so unusual for a batter, and good for him. So not just him, but your team also has, we hear a lot about Harmeet Singh, yourself, Ranjani, very good bowlers there. And then we have a youngster who was 7th in the Pacific in wickets this year. And that would be, 6th in the Pacific in wickets, just above Harmeet Singh. And that is Akhilesh Badagam, who is an excellent young player. Talk a little bit about him, about you guys went and pursued him. You brought him from Atlanta last year, and that ended up being kind of like a missing piece for you guys.
I think so. I think we needed a good off spinner that bowled a little bit quicker than the rest, and I think he was a lot taller, so he got a bit more bounce with the wickets we were playing on. And with him being, I think people don't realize how young he is. So he's actually still very young, still learning his straight, if I can say that. Right. But took on responsibility with both hands. Yeah. He'd open the bowling. He'd bowl the 6th over of the power play, which I think sometimes probably the hardest over to bowl in the power play. We sometimes, I think, bowled him at the death also. And being a spinner, you on good decks, you might get a little bit more tapped than everyone else, but he didn't mind it. He just bounced back, come back. It's fine. You're allowed to hit me for 6, but I'm coming back here. It's sort of a hungry attitude, because he obviously wants to pursue more than just playing minor league, which is great. And he works hard for it. You'd be one of the first guys at practice. You'd be the first one to bowl, be the last one to bowl. You'd bowl in every single session that we had. Not much of a break. So he's worked hard during training, and he's brought the sort of the hard work that he's done in training into the games, and sort of also one of the guys that reaped the rewards. I think if you look at Funny's done so well that he goes, a lot of the bowlers go unnoticed. That's true. Because someone's done that well in the league. Right. But I think Akhilesh ended up, I think it was 21 wickets or 20 odd wickets, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember. He had 23 in the season right there. Let's see. Let me check how many he had in the final. If he took any. He took 1 wicket in the final. Yeah, so he had 24 wickets altogether throughout the 2022 season. Yeah, and his economy was really good. 7.04. Good economy for T20 cricket for an off spinner. That's for sure.
you know, and like he performed very, very well for Atlanta.
He did. I think the recruitment he did was really good. I think he got great chances also where he played. And when he got the chance, he actually dismissed the bigger batters, of which is what we needed also. So for him to do that, and I'm a guy that says that the guys that took the catches off his bowling, but the way he set it up, the way he put the guys, and tactically he learned, but he's willing to learn also.
Right.
But he had some great spells for us. I mean, to be fair, if you got the economy of 7.04 in a season, you'll take that any day.
You're getting 5. You're getting 4 overs. You know what I mean?
You'll gladly take that, even if there's no wickets, and he got wickets with that. So that gives him a lot more credit. He was unbelievable for us in the games that he bowled. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and another fellow that you guys got from Atlanta was Rishi Bardwaj, who performed really well for you in that game against Silicon Valley. He batted pretty well. Well, more than pretty well. He was fantastic. What were you impressed by him this year?
I was. I met Rishi. I think when I first came over to USA, we played a tournament together, and what he brings, I want to say before I go on the field, off the field is a lighter change room, a little bit of banter, a little bit of laughter.
I got that impression. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need different characters. You can't have the same characters in the team, and he was one of the characters that would laugh about, make a joke, sort of lighten the mood, which was great, and that's what you want for people to feel relaxed. So that's off the field, and then on the field, he's a good player. I think he's been in the USA squad a few times, if I'm not mistaken. So batting wise, and he's a little bit older than the rest. I say that with regards to experience wise, he's played a lot of cricket. So the knock in against Silicon, where he got, I think it was 66 not out, to help us win the game. Probably a match winning knock, to be fair. He batted brilliantly, and I think he dug into all his experience, backed himself, and it was a day that I'm glad it came off in the right time, with the right people watching, because he deserved it. I mean, he didn't bat everywhere he wanted. I think if you probably could choose, you'd say he wanted to bat 3 the whole tournament. But unfortunately, sometimes he batted 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 4, sometimes 5. Yeah. So it's difficult to find a balance for him. But for him to take it on the chin and say, whatever the team needs, I'm here to do it, and to do it in the final was great. He put on a spectacle. Got 66 not out in a tough situation when we were in a lot of trouble. And he got the job done. That's what you want. You always tell cricketers, just do your job. It's easier said than done. And Rishi was one of the guys that did his job that day specifically. Along with a lot of the other knocks. I think he played vital knocks in against, I think our first weekend, he got a 42 not out also to win the game. Mm-hmm. But people don't see the first. He's got contributions where he's gone in and he's got a few 50s or a few 40s where we were a little bit behind the 8 ball, and he's gone, don't worry, I'll take the game on. And he's taken it on, and it's come off for him. And it's knocks that don't go noticed as much as it should, but he had a good role to play within the whole team setup whenever he got the chance.
Yeah. I mean, saved his best innings for the semifinal game there for the conference final. And you guys beat the defending champions. Now that one came right down to the wire. That was a very good game. That was one of the more exciting games of the season. In fact, there was a time, I think it was maybe the 16th or 17th over, where it looked like you guys were it looked like you guys had lost the game. It looked like it had slipped out of your fingers. And then a couple of key wickets come around, and then you are in the final over bowling to try to save the game for your team. How did that feel? That last over was eventful, that's for sure.
It was. That's something we giggle about. So the beginning of the over, Andries Josie asked me in Afrikaans, what are you going to do? Just shouting across, I was standing at the top of the market, like, I'm just going to try ball Yoke, and if it comes off, it comes off. If not, unlucky. I can't control if the batter laps or not. And we sort of giggled about it, made it a little bit more relaxed.
Right.
But going through that, before that over, and before that game, I sort of knew it was probably going to come down to that. And if I'm honest, I've probably lost more games bowling at the death than I've won.
Most people probably have.
Yeah, most people probably have, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that, and it's never nice, but you can dig into the experience, say, okay, what I do right, what I do wrong, what's the plans, what they're looking for, what you think. And I think Pranay Suri batted very well from then. And Narsi could also hit the ball quite cleanly. So I knew what I was up against. I was lucky enough to play with him the very, very first exhibition one, I think it was, first year. And so I knew how they played, what their plans would be, I guess. And it's like I said, I've lost more in that situation than I've actually won.
Right.
I knew what to look for, what to do. And fortunately enough, I was the one that luckily executed the day. I think if you look at it lightly, you get one inside edge or something funny happens, then and the game changes completely.
Or a drop. Someone drops one. Yeah.
Someone drops one. It's just one of those that the stars aligned for me on that day, and I can give credit to the guys for backing me to do that in that situation. But it's like I've said, it's just a little bit of experience and knowing a plan going forward. I think if you don't have a plan coming into that situation, you're already on the back foot and things don't go right. And trusting the plan. So I think that was just the best way to do it. Do you have a plan? Yes. Happy days, do your plan. If it comes off, it's probably execution thing that it come off. If it hasn't, then you just haven't executed. And if you doubt the plan, there's like a element of doubt. It's probably not going to go the way. So once you commit it, go 120% and let the rest take care of itself.
Yeah, that's good. What I keep thinking as you're telling the story is there a word for Yorker in Afrikaans, or does
I think it stays Yorker.
See, it just is. So you can't just shout out across the field to him. No. You can't like have you got right.
Okay. So I don't know. The conversation went like I'm gonna say it in Afrikaans. Andries Gousie said, "Wat gaan jy doen?" And asked that's just like, "What you gonna do?"
What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, "Ek gaan seker die tone slaan," and that means I'm gonna try the toes of the batters. And it's like, okay, cool, go ahead. And then that was sort of like more in a joke way, but it was just made the whole environment a little bit more relaxed. The shoulders could relax and you could do your job, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And Andres, what a player he is. He absolutely went off in the T10. He got the bat in the final game for Stamp Army, and he just went out of his shoes. He was hitting the ball all over the place. Hit some of the nicest shots you could ask to see. Him, Oibus Pinar, in that game, both played really well. Oibus didn't get the bat, but it's just a T10 game. But he did bowl and take a wicket. There are a lot of South Africans in minor league cricket. I remember early on hearing about I think the first one that I heard about was Willem Luddick. I believe he's originally South African, and then he played in New Zealand. If I'm correct. So, there's been this exodus. I guess you could say, of South African players leaving to go elsewhere, and here has been one of the destinations for a handful of you guys. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like coming to the decision to come to the USA from South Africa, deciding that you're going to leave the community, the family, the friends that to come here and hope that everything works out with cricket? Tell me what that was like.
Honestly, scary. That's the first word that comes to mind, but also knowing that it was probably the right time to do it for me personally. I remember sitting back and actually contacted Nosh that plays for USA, and I said, "Is there cricket in USA? I'm trying to sort of just look at a different opportunity." And he said, "Yes, send me an email." Myself, my agent sent off the email, and sort of got a response within 3 days. Came here, and I say this, I'm not gonna say I got offered another 2 years in South Africa, and sort of thinking about it and looking back here, it was definitely the right decision. But when they offered the 2 year, not an element in my mind said, "Yes, I'll take the 2 year contract." It was like, "No, thank you for the offer, but I think my path has changed in life now with regards to playing cricket." I gave it a good run. I think it was 12 years of first class professional cricket, 13 years, 12 or 13 years. And I think it was the time to make a decision. I remember coming here and sort of forfeiting my contract there and not having any sort of leeway, no guarantee about anything, because I originally came just to have a look at the scene, the American scene.
Right.
And if there wasn't enough, I wouldn't have carried on and gone back to South Africa, turning down a 2-year contract, and probably not have got another contract for the rest of my playing career. So to sacrifice and make the risk, to take the risk, is probably one of the biggest risks I've taken. Probably top two, I guess.
Yeah.
One being moving to Bloemfontein when I was 19 years old. But I think this one, not knowing anyone in USA, not knowing what cricket you're going to get, not knowing the facilities, not knowing the coaches, not knowing the structures, and just going in, I'm going to say blinded, I guess.
Yeah.
Trying to do as much research as you can, but not knowing enough to do the research. Knowing that there's cricket, but not what standard you want to play at, probably, or what thing. And then COVID hits, and then there's no cricket for a year and a half. Just turned down a 2-year contract. There's no, luckily enough, saved enough money, but there's no other money coming in to pay rent or to do this or to do that. So I don't think it goes unnoticed from my side, and the sacrifice my wife made to get us here, just to say, let's take the risk. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it does not. We can regroup from there. And I say, scary thought, because having to sell everything, the appliances we had, everything we had back home, and say, let's go. Speaking to my parents, having the conversation, I'm thinking of doing this. Them saying, do it. If you don't do it now, 5 years down the line, you're probably going to go, I wish I did it.
Yeah.
Speaking to my wife's parents also, and saying that, her speaking, because it's a big sacrifice. I mean, she's given up her work and everything, and a lot of stuff, just to help me come to US and half live my dream, I guess, and possibly a little bit of a brighter future.
Right.
To take that risk is commendable. It's not an easy decision. It's very difficult to leave your comfort zone, and it's like I was saying, it's definitely a comfort zone. Living a very comfortable life, earning enough money in South Africa to make a decent living, to just go up and go, I'm not going to do this anymore. I think I need something to make me a little bit more uncomfortable. It was just, the routine was too easy, if I can say that. So it was get up, gym, train for 4 or 5 hours, go to sleep, do your admin, and the same routine doing over. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely loved it.
Right.
But it was very comfortable, and I didn't like it. It was just like, it became a monotonous thing. I needed a different challenge.
Right.
And it was a challenge. It really was a challenge, but 100% worth it. If I look back and say, would you do it again? In a heartbeat, yes.
Well, you kind of got lucky contacting Nosh, of all people. I mean, I don't know if there's a nicer guy in the country as far as, Team USA regarded. Yeah.
I was lucky with that regard, because he trained there for about a month in Bloemfontein. Randomly, he came to come train, and we sort of met up in there, and we started chatting and talking like that. And then obviously I had his number, messaged him, and he was kind enough to sort of say, open the door, I guess. Obviously Rusty being here, I had a few chats to Rusty and things. So that also helped me. I think something familiar.
Sure.
And it's like you say, no one's a self-made person. I've had guys helping me along the way, and Nosh is one of the guys that I must give credit to sort of helping me out to get here, along with a lot of other people. But he was the one that initially maybe opened the door a little bit more for me, or unlocked the door, I guess. That's something that I won't forget.
Well, when you're involved in cricket in the USA in any regard, you get a lot of messages, direct messages on social media from from cricketers all over the world that want to come here and play. So now I'm gonna say, hey, follow this guy Nosh, and give him, message him.
No pressure.
Leave me alone. Just message Nosh. So that's but really, I mean, what a guy he is. He's pretty much a legend around the USA, which I'm sure you've come to learn. But he's incredibly well regarded. I don't know if there's anybody who could ever say a bad word about the guy. He works incredibly hard. He's got an incredibly good work ethic, and I think he makes anything he's a part of even better. So it's pretty cool that you actually knew him ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I think it just worked out perfectly. If you look back and then you can say, oh, that actually worked out quite nicely. But during the time, you probably would never have said it. That was your path, which is quite the
Right.
nice thing about cricket. I think cricket brings a lot of people together, opens a lot of doors, and that's the beauty of the game. It's something that brought me to USA. It's something that's taken me to Nepal. It's something that's taken me around the world, which
Right.
I'm forever grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about the sport is like the deeper I get involved in it, the more I get to meet people. And every time you meet someone from somewhere around the world, it's like, hey, do you know? And it's weird how few degrees you are removed from everybody in cricket. You just start talking to people, and it's anytime I meet somebody from the Caribbean, for example, it turns out we know the same people. So
Yeah,
so it's funny.
It's a massive community, but at the same time a small community.
Right. Yeah. It's really kind of special. It's really pretty fantastic. It reminds you a little bit of ice hockey here in the USA. I'm stoked about this coming year because like we talked about, there's going to be Major League for the first time this season, but we're also going to have the third year of minor league, which is getting even better. It's going to have hybrid or turf wickets only throughout the country. That's a really big plus. But I don't think a lot of people realize how good the quality of hybrid wicket is, how much different that is from an Astro, how it's really a great happy medium.
It is. I think we played one of the games against San Diego Surf Riders in Bay Area on a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of a South African good cricket wicket.
Right.
There was Kerry with the seamers that bowled. So you could see the ball carrying to the keeper, which was quite nice. It didn't spit as much, sometimes as some of the turfs do.
Right.
But if you bowled well, it would give you the results. If you bowled badly, it would also expose you, which was a great thing. The batters could take a risk, it through the line like it was. So I don't think I really enjoyed playing on it, firstly, because it made me feel like it was, again, a true reflection of, I probably favored the batters a little bit, which it should in T20 cricket. I believe the wicket should favor the batters a little bit more.
Right.
But if you bowled well, you'd reap the rewards. If you batted well and gave yourself a chance, you'd score runs.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in T20 cricket. And it's exciting that minor league's moving to all turf and hybrid wickets. It's going to be really exciting for the cricketers coming through. It's going to grow the game a lot faster.
Right.
And skills a lot quicker, having to play on those different surfaces is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really going to get the players ready for Major League, and I hope in the future Major League itself expands. I know that's the idea, to have it expand, and that'll create even more opportunities for American cricketers as the talent develops. Hopefully the league expands while the talent develops. You don't want it to expand too fast for the quality of the league, but going into Major League this coming year, of course, we're going to have the teams are going to be decided, in a few months, and lots of great coverages coming from that, I'm sure. But as we move towards that, are there any players in the USA outside of the guys that in Seattle there, which, I anticipate there's going to be a lot of guys from the Seattle team that are going to make a Major League team. We talked about Akalish. I wouldn't even be surprised if Akalish, the youngster, Bodegum, made a team. If he doesn't now, I believe he certainly will someday soon. But outside of that team that you're on now, is there anyone in the league that in minor league cricket that you really want to play with in Major League cricket?
Ooh. One thing I probably haven't thought of. There's probably a few, to be fair. I need to think a little bit harder with it. I think there is a few. I'll get back to you on that, but there's definitely guys that I would like to pick their brains and why they do certain things.
Sure.
So yes, there is. The names I'm not sure of yet. I'll have to think a little bit longer. It might take me some time.
All right. Okay, cool. So how about international players outside of the USA, outside of American players, guys who will be overseas players potentially? We don't know who they're going to be yet. But who would you want to pick? If you could pick anyone in the world as an overseas for your team, who would it be?
Ooh. I'm going to go left field. not really left field. I'm gonna go Usman Khawaja. I've watched a lot of his interviews and just the way he speaks about life and cricket and things around it. I think we have a little bit in common. So I'd like to see and talk to him about his pathway, I guess, and how our cricket's gone. So I enjoyed the way he's spoken. I also would love a guy that bowls 150 to be the same. So 100 mile an hour bowler would be great. But there's a few. There's a few South Africans I'd love to sort of play with in Major League again. Reza Hendricks being one. I think he's one of the players that probably hasn't got given enough chances at the international level like he deserves. So for him to play, and obviously he's one of my friends, as a lot of guys know. So it's nice will be nice to maybe play with him again. But I would love to sort of sit down with the Usman Khawaja, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that would be something else. There's so many good cricketers around the world, and I can't wait until American sports fans get to see this at the highest level nationally here in the USA, and get to see hopefully some excellent overseas talent. I know that there are a lot of guys that are interested. Who wouldn't want to come to the USA for a little while and play cricket, help grow the game here. That's something I'm really passionate about. I'd love to see more and more cricket fans latching onto the game. It's going to be good for everybody involved if that happens.
I think so. It's an exciting time. I think it's a very exciting time, and I think once it starts, it's going to be more exciting. Once more news comes out, it's going to be even more exciting. It's going to change the mindset of what people think in cricket, because I don't think a lot of international people know how much cricket's in the USA. And for them to see the product that's coming, it's really exciting for the cricketers that are playing and for those who are curious. I think to this day we still get a lot of messages that guys that want to come over.
Right.
And I think when the major league launches, they're going to see the amazing cricket that they are here. It's going to be an unbelievable product. I definitely believe, and for them to play at a higher level, arguably the highest level at the moment in the USA. Definitely, it's exciting. It's very exciting for every cricketer that's involved, I think. And I say this like it will change the conversation. It will people will start saying, oh, but there's more to cricket. I can do things differently. And I say this because we have kids that straight after cricket or straight after sort of 17, they straight into college and you don't see them again. But they love cricket and they turn up 6 years later, start playing again. But now the conversation is changing and it will be like, oh, but I don't have to do it my master's in 5 years. I can do it in a 10-year period while playing cricket. But I am able to maybe have a future in the game of cricket. And who knows, this pathway that can lead for guys coming through and cricketers that potentially get picked up, it could change their lives. It genuinely could change their lives. I don't think cricketers realize how close they are to being at the right place at the right time and doing the right thing, and your life changes completely. It's literally one ball away from changing.
That's
one game away from changing the rest of your life. And I think the conversation for cricketers and the amount of excitement that's going forward with the Major League, I just think the closer it gets, the more exciting it's going to get. The more people is going to get to realize, the more the younger kids coming through is going to get to realize, oh, I love cricket. I can make a future in this game. I can change my life. I can do things. I can do what the internationals are doing. I can play along the lines of going overseas, playing 7, 8 different teams, making a name for myself, like a lot of the international stars doing, and it's opening a gateway for USA cricketers.
Right.
And for USA younger guys coming through, which is what you want. It's something you do as a cricketer. You always want to, I believe, leave the game in a better place than what you got it.
Sure.
And I think this is one of the ways that cricketers can do that through Major League Cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm stoked about it. I think you're spot on with all the things you said. It's a game changer. At the very least, it's a game changer here in the USA. I have hopes that it'll be a game changer around the world. especially as the league evolves, as it grows, as the season gets a little bit longer, as the league gets a little bit bigger, it's going to make, it's got the potential to do an awful lot of good things for cricket in the USA that we've never seen before.
Definitely. I think so. It's definitely has a lot of potential, Alan. And as a cricketer, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
No doubt. Well, thanks for joining, Shadley. This has been a really fun chat. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, so we did it. And I'm sure I'll see you around. I'm probably going to see you here in Morrisville at some point in the near future. Because that's just how things work out.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. I had a great time talking cricket. I love it.